Hey guys, what's up? It's TF. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another action figure review. This is going to be of the McFarlane Toys Kickstarter Classic Spawn. Really quick, as you can see, I have something different with the backdrop here. I have what's called the Extreme Sets Deranged Alley 2.0. These are basically high quality cardboard cutouts that help you make up different scenes. If you're someone like me who's not very good at making dioramas, these are good for toy photography. I'm using these right now just temporarily until I try to figure out something better when it comes to doing reviews, because usually I just have a plain black backdrop here. So I decided to do this setup here of the review station with this new Kickstarter Spawn, which had a little bit of controversy when it was pretty much in production. Some people were saying, baiting and switching some things when it comes to the figure, as well as it's one of the most successful toy Kickstarters of all time, but some people thought that they could have done a lot more with each individual figure, and the fact that you have to get 3 different figures for special stuff, which I will agree, some of the stuff going on with the Kickstarter and having to buy multiples and basically pay more money to get more stuff, it was a little fishy to me. But now that we see this this in packaging here, it looks fantastic. I really only wanted one of these though. I just wanted a classic one. So let's go ahead and talk about the packaging. I believe the lettering of the Spawn here is going to be green for the modern version, but for the classic here, it's just red Spawn all the way down from top to bottom on the right. It's a little bit shiny on the red there, which is nice. On this side here, it's just completely shiny and nice wording that says Spawn. It looks really well done. Please ignore any of my fingerprints on there. Unfortunately, it's already starting to smudge on the packaging. It's kind of like a Mezco sleeve, if you're familiar with those. On this side here, there really isn't much except towards the bottom. It says 1994 to 2021. There is nothing on the back here, but we look on the top of the packaging, which is for another basically inner part of the packaging. It has the nice Spawn logo there, kind of embossed on the box there. We get to the bottom here, we have more warnings and whatnot. We have a lot of small printing right there. It does have the embossed Spawn logo. It does have a barcode actually, and then it does say ages 14 and up, not a toy. When we get to the front here, this is pretty much the rest of the packaging. There's nothing on the other sides or the back, but it does have this again embossed Spawn logo here, and you can see that little red tab right there that you pull on. You open it and it will reveal the figure as well as the rest of the bonus accessories there. So as you can see, for me, I kind of wish they were actually in the packaging, but at the same time, you'd have to make 3 different packagings for each figure, so that could be a bit of a hassle. But we at least get them displayed some way, and a lot of nice effects and stuff going on there, which we'll talk about in a second. And then we get to the clamshell packaging right there, which is actually really nice, very nice classic packaging there. We get the figure right there. It's a little shiny right now because there's this plastic on plastic covering the figure, and it does say Spawn Posable Action Figure Record Breaking Comic. From the Record Breaking Comic. And then towards the bottom it does say Flying Cape has swing open action, which some people also have problems with the cape. I might too. We'll find out. And then you can see here that does come with a comic book. There's nothing on the back here, but what I do want to show you is that when you're looking at the packaging, if you own this, you're going to want to open it from your right side. One side is basically closed off, and the other one is going to be meant for opening when you want to. It's a repackagable clamshell, which is nice. So let's go ahead and take this figure out of the packaging. So here's the figure out of the packaging, and overall, I am pretty satisfied with the quality of this figure. I think that they have done a fantastic job. I do think there are some flaws, though, with the overall approach of this figure, but all the stuff that you come with is just crazy. Seriously. We'll go ahead and take a look at every accessory that this figure comes with, then we'll take a closer look at the figure. This figure comes with a certificate of authenticity. I believe you get these with all of your Kickstarter spawns. It's very cool. And then we do have this comparison sheet comparing the original 1994 released Spawn figure to the new one here. The top half basically gives a thank you for donating to the Kickstarter, and the bottom half gives you different comparisons of different features with both figures. And as you can see, this figure comes with a lot of accessories, which I'll try to go through really quick because this is going to be a pretty long review already. We have this nice display base here. It's a nice circular base that we get with a lot of McFarlane Toys figures. But this one, it's special. It does say Spawner. There was a really nice yellowish, greenish type of paint going on there. It does say 1984 to 2021 record-setting action figure. A little peg right there. It's got pickles at the bottom of the feet, so just use that whenever you want to display him with that. And you have this nice rifle here, which is great. The paint on here is really cool. We have some nice gray going on the handle of the magazine, as well as this handle here. Lots of stuff. This is like a Gears of War weapon almost, where you have this grenade launcher and this saw right there. Man, lots of great detail. The paint work is also really great. Wherever there is black, it's almost like a grayish blackish. It's a little warped in the front here. I can try to fix that later. But man, this looks so cool. Then we get to the Necro. This was just a bonus of a piece here. This is the Necro dagger, Necro knife. It's a nice green translucent plastic, and it's pretty nicely done. This is really cool. It's almost like this is 3D printed. Not saying that as a bad way, but it just kind of gives off that vibe, and it looks really nice. We have more Necro effects here. This one is just a very basic one that is meant to go into one of his hands to basically use as a weapon. It is really nice. Like great translucent plastic going on. Lots of nice sculpting. And this is how the handle looks. And you use one of these hands, which is circular right there. Just kind of slip it on in there. So that's cool. Big sword. Look at this thing. This thing's awesome. Great sculpting. Awesome paint. The silver on here is great. We have a nice Spawn logo there. Skull right there on towards the handle and the hilt. It's a little warped right here on the tip, but I could probably fix that later. Again, great sculpting going on throughout the whole blade. It's this solid silver plastic. Not much paint variation, but it is. You can tell there is paint on there. Nice shimmering right there. It looks great. There's the handle right there. Looks awesome. And you use this to, you take the pommel out, and then you'll slip it on like that, and you'll put it back on. That is how you're going to have him hold the sword. With two of these hands here, which are gripping hands, and they have, circles sculpted into their hands, as you saw earlier, for holding these types of weapons. Pretty good red paint throughout, and nice knuckles right there. We also get these hands right here that are meant for holding the gun. So he comes with really opened, posed hands. These also look great with the nice silver spikes there. Great sculpting on the back of the hand there. A little bit of it looks like a wash in the or in between the fingers at least. So that's pretty nice. Last but not least, the bonus head here, which is a really nice screen. I think he called it the hamburger head, but it's just, an unmasked head. It's all one piece though, just to give you a heads up. This was actually pretty difficult to put on. I'll try to do it towards the end of the review to see how it looks on the body. This head on there. Great green eyes. Nice dark green. A little bit of black going on there in the mouth. An awesome expression going on with the teeth. Great. Like a gray or black wash going on throughout the rest of the sculpting here. This thing just looks absolutely fantastic. And sadly, you'll have to keep it in one pose because as you can see, the rest of the sculpting is not really there. It's smoothed out, so you have to keep it in one pose, sadly. It will have articulation, though. One more thing this figure comes with, as you saw, is this comic book. Now, it is pretty much put into this sleeve on the back there, as you saw from the packaging. You'll just have to gently take it out. And this, I believe, is a director's cut version of the original preview for Spawn. It's either issue number 1 or the preview of Spawn. From what I was reading, I'm pretty sure it's a preview. It's got lots of nice, really cool notes from Todd. It's a very nice read. I do recommend taking a look at it. You can keep it in the backdrop if you want, though, in case you don't want to ruin the comic. It's a very nice looking piece, and I'm glad that we get it. So that way, if you want to learn a little bit more about the making of Spawn, there you go. And then the comic book itself is really nice and done with a nice cover. And we actually get some of the original toys and some instructions for this Spawn on the back of the cover, which I think is pretty nice. So I think my next thing to help me make the reviews a little better is to buy a rotating stand, which I think I've talked about a while, because this is going to actually help a lot with reviews. But I'm giving you a quick 360 of this figure, even though it is a little bit farther away than I would like. Hopefully you get a good idea. This cape is massive, man. It is really, really big. So, man, that is fantastic sculpting. I mean, they already do great sculpting on their McFarlane Toys, their retail stuff, but this thing just especially is very good looking. We take a look at the head sculpt there. You can actually see, look at the mouth. You can actually see some teeth protruding from his mask. This thing is super cool. Great sculpting going on throughout the eyes. There's actually some sculpting. The separations of sculpting here are really good. You can see the white right there, kind of like the off-white onto the black. It's actually sculpted. Those eyes just look so good. It's so cool. It's just great sculpting, man. They did a great job. Lots of nice wrinkles, muscles, of course, throughout the whole figure. This thing is just muscular up to the T, you know? These things, I felt like they kind of got in the way. These little parts of the cape around the neck, but it's not too bad. There's a little bit of a black, I want to say a little bit of brushing. I don't actually know what's got. It's some shading mostly of some black onto the red, which has a nice leather looking material. I know a lot of people are going to want a soft goods cape. Eventually I will too. One thing that kind of sucks though, which I thought this was going to be part of the figure, but it's not. You can't actually, I'm going to have to back out for this. You can't actually remove the cape. It is glued onto this thing and it's sculpted like crazy. Now Daredevil 19 showed off how he removed the cape, but that was basically permanently breaking it. I mean, you could slip it back on whenever you want, but it won't be the same as how this is stuck on here right now. So unless you have a better way of removing this cape, if you're going to take it off, that's pretty much it. If you're going to replace it, you might as well stick with a replacement for as long as you can. I don't know if I would throw this away though, because the actual sculpting of this cape is just solid. Yeah, it's big. It's a bit bulky. It kind of gets in the way. But you cannot deny the amount of craftsmanship that went into this thing. These kind of look a little distracting, but I also like that they can bend back a lot. So, back out here. That's the swing out action. This hinge right here is a little bit easier to do than this one. I'm having trouble with this one, which I don't want to force it. But then we get to the back, which if you want to have them like crawled up like that, that's pretty cool. Probably make it look better with a soft goods cape though. This is what the back looks like. And the stuff going on top here looks really good. Again, some more black shading. Lots more leather going on the back. It's just great. One thing that I was definitely super happy that they were doing the whole time, I think when they were announcing stretch goals for this, is that they're doing metal chains, and the metal chains came out really great. It looks very nice. Bronze, a little tarnished. I dig it. These things are nice. I don't know if it's going to end up rubbing on the legs, though, which would be worrisome, but these things are super cool. You even get one around here, around the neck. Real chains, man. Are these also metal? I think these are plastic. Little skulls covering metal. But we do have some nice white on the red there. Looking really good. Look how that's stretching. There is a little bit of some shading going on in the muscles, too. Now, these arms, I mean, there's not there's a little bit of paint going on, but it's mostly muscle details going on throughout the arms. And even there's actually some white right there, as you can see, which they actually painted the joint, which is interesting. Hopefully that doesn't break. Oh, the paint breaks there in that joint eventually. That would be bad. There's the opened, posed hands, the spiked arm right there. These hands look good. They don't have the new McFarlane Toys, not really new for them, but they don't have the regular McFarlane Toys hinge. It's a swivel and a classic hinge, as you can see there. So I actually don't mind that at all for this particular figure. And then we get towards the bottom. We have this nice pouch, as you can see, for the legs. They look really good. Some nice buttons painted on there as well, with a little bit of black shading on there. This is definitely paint, but it's very basic, and which is accurate for the design. Very basic black sculpt with some muscles for the legs. We get down here to more spikes, which there's some red bleeding onto the black there, which is a little disappointing considering, this being a special Kickstarter figure. It's not good. It might sound a little too unrealistic for me to ask for perfection, but you're paying damn near $60 like I did just for one figure. You hopefully would get a little bit better quality. So right here, there's also some red on the silver of the spike. So far, those are the only paint apps with issues that I have seen on the figure, though. So I guess that's good so far. We get down here to these nice, somewhat exposed toes. And then we have lots of great... it's actually pretty basic, but pretty good detail. I was about to say lots of great detail, but there's actually not much going on here. This is what the bottom of the feet look like. Trying to get the back of how the figure looks is difficult because this freaking cape gets in the way. But you can see there's the chains continue on to the back. I'm trying to get the light in there, so I do apologize. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to try to show off everything because of this big freaking bulky cape, but this seriously is really nicely sculpted. This might be one of the best sculptings they've done on a figure. Now, articulation might take a bit of time, so bear with me. There are a few things on this figure that are getting in the way of properly doing articulation, but there is a separate neck piece going on here, and it is a ball joint, and you do get a separate head rotation as well as a ball joint. It's giving me trouble. It's just this is very stiff up here, but it can go up separately there, so you do get actually a lot of nice range of motion. We do have arms, well, these are covering it, but arms that will go all the way around. That's how far out they go with the cape on, which is a bit disappointing. I've seen it go farther without it on. Forward, back like that. Now, these are separate pieces that will swivel, but the main point of articulation actually is at the elbow. So the elbow will swivel here. This will also swivel, but it is very stiff, at least on the right elbow of mine. So be wary of that. Again, these right here, they will swivel on there. We do have a hinge. It's about 90, so not amazing. This is getting in the way though, which is a little unfortunate, but we do have swivel at the wrist as well as a hinge at the wrist. This is for all sets of hands that we come with. Now, me personally, I still do wish that they weren't testing this all here with, you know, I wish they did do the soft plastic, is what I'm trying to say, instead of this. That was never confirmed, of course. I know I'm giving them a little bit of benefit of doubt. I just would have been better to do it like this. But we do get a swivel forward and back a little bit. It's very back heavy because of the cape, of course. And then we do get side to side motion, so we do get a good amount of rotation, but not amazing. And this is a soft plastic piece right here for the crotch, so it won't really get in the way of articulation. Now, we do actually have some good thigh swivel. Very nice. It's not a full rotation like Marvel Legends, but it's very good up here. Slight up here. Not very great. But right here has a separate swivel. So you do get that. I just wish that they did it here. I know Todd doesn't like to break up the sculpt. Eventually the man needs to bite the bullet and do it. Double jointed knees, which I'm not bending all the way right now because things are getting in the way. But you see right there, it does have a good back right there. And there are two different areas for swivel, but they do about the exact same type of articulation when it comes to calf swivel right there. So that's awesome. There's a separate swivel for the foot here, which is giving me trouble at the ankle. This is very much what they do with the rest of their retail figures. So it will swivel actually there as well as the calf rotation. It's just very stiff on mine for now, but we do have nice up and down, as you can see. And then do have an ankle rocker and toe hinge right there. So overall, actually very solid articulation. Definitely on the lower half of the figure, great articulation. We do get to the top half though, and it's a little lackluster. And of course, you get the hinging cape. Oh, back out a little bit. The cape hinges forward like this. It'll hinge forward like that. I finally got it to this to move a little bit better. That's how far back it can go. That's also how far back it can go, which is actually pretty cool. It looks a little weird when it's bent back like this, but if you want to have it bent back a little bit so you can see the figure a little bit better and not the stuff getting in the way, that is a possibility. Now, as you can see, this figure is pretty tall. He is a little bit taller, just ever so slightly, than the Mortal Kombat version of the McFarlane Toys Spawn that we got last year. And then he is definitely going to be a little bit taller than Geralt right there that we got earlier this year, also from McFarlane Toys. Now, the NECA figure I'm using is a little bit shorter than most NECA figures since it's a teenager, but that is the Marty McFly on the right there from Back to the Future. You see just how short he is compared to Spawn, which they're supposed to be fitting in scale with each other since they're both 7-inch scale stuff. And then we have a Marvel Legends Cyborg Spider-Man right there, which is definitely going to be shorter than something like McFarlane Toys or NECA figures. So overall, this figure is very well done. This is honestly, I think, one of the best figures that McFarlane Toys has produced, probably ever. It is very well done. There are some problems with it that I have, though. Well, the articulation in the bottom half of the figure, you know, with the legs and all that, is pretty good. The upper half with the arms and the torso is a little lackluster. I don't have any problem with the amount of accessories, though. Although I do have a problem with them locking off one or two accessories if you didn't get the 3-pack. If you didn't get all 3 of them, then you didn't get that bonus club, which I think is kind of dumb. I mean, this Kickstarter made how much, and you're locking off accessories unless you keep buying more? But oh well. The paint, I have a few imperfections on mine, but
nothing too stressful. The packaging alone is extremely well done, very collector friendly. The comic book is really cool. This is overall a very solid piece. If you are a Spawn fan, hopefully you have this. You probably already got it if you're a really big Spawn fan when this got announced. If you are wanting to pick up this figure now, though, unfortunately, you had to have donated to the Kickstarter. Who knows if they'll do a second run in the future? That would be cool for people who missed out. But that was the only way you were able to get this figure last year, was to donate a certain amount in other stretch goals and whatnot to the Kickstarter. The secondary market's not going to be very kind to you, unfortunately. If you need some alternatives, I would wait to see what they do with their next Kickstarter, which I believe is going to be Viking Spawn, which that I will probably donate to that. That'll be very cool. Or if you need another alternative, I would suggest picking up the Mortal Kombat version of Spawn, which you could probably find a retail version of that figure. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends, and I'll see you guys later.